Freedom Rider. Democrats Move Right and Towards Defeat by Margaret Kimberly, Black Agenda Report senior columnist. Besides not being Trump, the Democrats offer nothing but think they can win with a candidate who has no constituency, charisma, or any platform positions that would attract more voters. This presidential election season bears a striking resemblance to that of 2016. We were assured by pundits, pollsters, Democratic politicians, and million-dollar consultants that Donald Trump couldn't possibly win. Except he did win, and the aforementioned experts should have been discredited and forgotten. 4 years later, the same people who should have been ignored forever are again claiming that Trump is on the ropes. The endless and useless anti-Trump talking points have done their damage. People who ought to know better glean dubious evidence and think that wishing for Trump's exit will get him out of the White House. At the same time, Joe Biden's campaign is fully within the sphere of right-wing neoliberalism, which lost in 2016. The confused and misguided resistance focused on crowd size at Trump's Tulsa, Oklahoma rally and happily concluded from this paltry evidence that he will lose. The nonsense is peddled by Democratic Party propagandists to keep voters in line and to prevent them from expressing righteous indignation after their failures in 2016. While millions of people whistle past the Electoral Graveyard, Joe Biden attacks Trump from the right. After Trump indicated a willingness to engage in talks with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Biden tweeted his displeasure. Trump talks tough on Venezuela, but admires thugs and dictators like Nicolas Maduro. As president, I will stand with the Venezuelan people and for democracy. It is Barack Obama who began the assault on the Venezuelan people. It is fitting that his former vice president is happy to continue Trump's sanctions, which are war by other means, resulting in over 40,000 deaths. The Trump loves thugs trope is just a continuation of the Russiagate hoax obsession, which was a substitute for meaningful opposition. Now Democrats behave as though Biden's choice of a running mate has some significance and read tea leaves based on Trump rally attendance. The impotence of progressive Democrats is on full display. Biden is happy that COVID-19 prevents him from having large-scale rallies. He is without a constituency, charisma, or any platform positions that would attract more voters. It is open to question if he could attract a crowd of any size at this moment. Meanwhile, black voters are being misled once again, and the running mate discussion is the tool of the moment. Amy Klobuchar's consideration became a non-starter when her role in enabling cops like the ones who killed George Floyd became widely known. The former prosecutor never took any actions against police brutality in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and her status as a possible running mate was dead in the water. She was no longer in contention, but claimed that she bowed out voluntarily. I think this is a moment to put a woman of color on that ticket. It is this kind of chicanery that could lead to another Trump victory. There is no reason to assume that his personal incompetence during the COVID-19 crisis will impact Trump's appeal to the 60 million people who voted for him the first time. His supporters are like him, questioning the pandemic's severity and even bringing along their guns to make the case for reopening the economy and risking their own lives. Sneering at his supporters is no substitute for getting out the vote. Hillary Clinton and the Democrats lost the Electoral College in 2016 because they didn't heed the most basic campaign advice. Once again, they hope to win by threading the needle and getting enough votes in swing states to drag Biden over the finish line. It must also be said that they are willing to live with Trump. This is the point you have to acknowledge, dear readers and viewers. They are more than willing to live with Trump. Not the comfy suburban voters, they hate Trump. But the insiders, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, the CIA, Hollywood, all of the insiders are more than happy to live with Trump because their gig flow will continue unabated. That may be hard for some of you to believe, but they put Biden in place before COVID happened. If you remember what was going on then, you have to admit that it was obvious that it didn't care if they lost. The opposition to Trump's administration is mostly phony, with performances such as ripping up speeches, taking a knee, and wearing kente cloth. Democrats go along with defense spending, regime change, and offering meager assistance for millions of people devastated by COVID-19. The insider Democrats do not give any fucks about the plight of the working poor. Because if they did, they never would have shoved Biden in front of Bernie, who was the clear frontrunner. Trump supporters have no reason to dislike him. He has done what they wanted him to do. The sight of children in cages and protesters under tear gas attack doesn't diminish his appeal to them at all. Meanwhile, the Democrats are not protecting black voters' rights. The purges from the rolls, closed polling places, and other methods of disenfranchisement are continuing without comment from the Democrats, who ignore their most loyal and important cohort. The sleight of hand shows the weakness of the left in general and of black people in particular. We are out of the loop in every sense possible. Millions of people took to the streets. Millions of white, black, and brown people took to the streets in response to police violence, but their presence is sustained by the depth of suffering across the country, by the depth of economic suffering across the country. But the Democrats' donor class demands that they do nothing except engage in pretense. Biden promised as much himself. We can disagree in the margins, but the truth of the matter is it's all within our wheelhouse, and nobody has to be punished. No one's standard of living will change. Nothing would fundamentally change. For good measure, he added, I need you very badly. On election day, we will end up with Trump 2.0, even if Biden manages to win. So my conclusion is a message to all of the privileged assholes who still think they can vote for Biden. You can't vote for Biden. You can't vote for Trump, and you can't vote for Biden. If you give a fuck about the working poor, protecting your own privilege is not on the table. So just fucking stop. Stop pretending that you care about the bottom half of the economic ladder if you can even think about voting for Biden. And tell your friends, you are a privileged asshole if you still think you ought to be able to vote for Biden. Evil is evil. Neither Trump nor Trump 2.0 will do. You can't vote for evil.